Lacey out here with Third Movement, bringing a video to you guys, bringing a podcast. This is Third Movement mini podcast. What a mini podcast really is I do it in 15 minutes. I do a whole podcast of how I would do the show in 15 minutes. Just until I get the equipment to make it longer. I use mobile. And with YouTube, mobile only give me 15 minutes to upload. So I do what I do, and we call it a mini. And we do it twice a week, every Tuesday and Thursday. Go check out the video that we had did yesterday. What's on my mind? The intro to transhumanism. The intro to transhumanism. My little nephew just whispered in my ear to remind you guys that it's their birthday. They're twins. Zion and Ziana, so let's sing happy birthday to him. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Zion and Ziana. Happy birthday to you. That was a very fast version because it only got 15 minutes, but okay, I'm so glad y'all 9 now. Y'all getting older. So that was the whole birthday. They've been excited, man. I promise you, his birthday. He's been saying it's his birthday since last Wednesday. Every day been his birthday since last Wednesday. All right, so but today we're gonna have a very interesting discussion in the podcast. We're gonna talk about I don't really quite know how to name this podcast as I'm doing it. But we're gonna talk about Christianity. Do we care the view that we give out, or do we care how people see it, or is it more about us? What I mean by that is I had a conversation with a close friend of mine last night. And he's not from what I could tell, he's not a Christian. He's not a Christian, but he has a lot of values of Christians. I think one of the things that he's struggling with is a few things. I think he's struggling with the hell thing. I think that he's struggling genuinely with that, and then I think he's struggling with the homosexual thing. And I'm not 100%, but I think that's one of his struggles. But but the biggest thing he's struggling with is the representation of Christ that he is getting. And he's not the only one. A lot of time when I'm out, talking to people, trying to give out Christ to people, the thing they struggle with is how we show Jesus or how we give Jesus out. Right? For instance, I was telling him, we was in a deep conversation about a lot of things, but one of the things we talked about was the 10 Commandments, right? And I was telling him how it's a shame how people look at the 10 Commandments like us Christians are trying to tell you something bad. If you really look at every commandment, it's filled with love, right? And he struggled with that. He struggled with the question. The big one he struggled with was that no false idols. Are no graven images, and he was saying how Christians we supposed to be against graven images and we wear crosses, which I'm 100% with him on that. I've said that a couple times on this channel, I believe, and I represent that in my everyday life. I don't wear a cross. Christ is not the cross. You can represent Christ if you wanted to. A brief understanding. Let's talk about the cross for a quick second. It was about I don't know about between 100 to 150 years after Jesus had died. Christianity was not welcome in the world, right? People was dying for it still, especially in Rome. People were dying, and Rome kind of had the power of the world at the time. At the time when Christ, when Christ was on earth and he died, for like in 200 years, a little bit longer than that. But Rome had the power, and Christianity was not it. But then Constantine came into power, and Constantine's father became a Christian. So Constantine was a Christian. So Constantine did a lot for Christianity to be accepted. But one of the things that Constantine did is he said he had a vision. He was looking at the sun, and I don't know if he was in prayer. I think he was in prayer or something. And he was looking at the sun, and he seen a cross, and he said that God told him to go conquer the world in the cross, in the cross name. Now, a lot of people believe that it was not a cross that Jesus died on. He died on a pole. He was nailed like basically like his feet like straight up and down on the pole. It just that there was no extension for his arm to be out. It was his arm went up, his hands and arms went up and was nailed up, and his feet was nailed regular. So many people believe that that's the way that Christ was hung. A lot of people say that's how it happened in history. I don't really care if it was hands out or hands up. Me personally, I'm just glad that he died and rose. But so many people saying, the cross is something that we shouldn't really follow. I don't care if it was because accuracy. I don't wear the cross not because it's inaccurate. I don't wear the cross because it's a graven image. I try not to have the image of the cross in my house, even not because it's a bad thing, but because we're not supposed to have graven images. And what he's saying is, and I went off on a tangent, but what he's saying is he has a problem with how people want other people to follow Christianity, and we don't want to follow it ourselves. And that's understandable. Now listen. The cross is what represents Christianity, right? To people, to a person that may not know Christianity, they might know the cross, and God can still use these things. When with my ministry, there's crosses because God still can use these things. These are things that represents Christianity. But what's supposed to represent Christianity is us. Right? Now, listen, I'm not telling you to go throw away your golden cross or your Jesus piece. I'm not telling you to do that. What I'm telling you is to get into the Word of God and let the Holy Spirit lead you. Now, the Word, when we look at that because listen, I'm not trying to tell you this so you can feel like, oh, you're a horrible person because you wear a cross. No, what I'm telling you is we cannot worship these things. It's cool to have these things represent Christ, right? But when we put these things in the place of worship, some people believe, let's be honest, when we look at the Catholic Church, like they wear their crosses and everything, like they believe in it so much, they put it at such high that it's blasphemy if it dropped. People get condemned for dropping the cross, whether they do it or not. This cross thing was so huge that if you were, and around that time, if you wanted to come out of Christianity, you had your cross. If you wanted to come out of Christianity, because the cross represented Christ, and that person represented Christ through the cross. And if they wanted to come out, they had to turn the cross upside down and break the two wings, and that's how they came out. Now, we know that as now our peace sign. If you look at the peace sign, not our fingers, but I'm talking about the peace sign. It's an upside down cross that's broken. I don't know how that represents peace, but now that represents peace. But the true meaning for that is not peace. The true meaning for that is I don't want to be a Christian no more. So this is what I'm talking about when we have the crosses as a graven image. We let it represent us. The people in the time of Jesus and in the 1st and 2nd, 3rd, and 4th century, they had the cross represent them. I love the 1st, 2nd, 3rd. I love studying that time. Because I like to see like how people who have been generations away from Christ, how they did things, and a lot of people believe that at that time anyway, the representation before Constantine got in power and changed it to the cross, the representation of Jesus was the fish, right? The fisher of men. Most of the disciples was fishermen, right? Jesus would have either been a fisherman, well, Jesus was a carpenter, But I'm saying that this is what the thing that Jesus would have been: fisherman, carpenter, Jesus had a great understanding of farming. Jesus had a great understanding of fishing. He also had an amazing understanding of carpentry. So I mean, these are things that Jesus would have. I mean, these are things that he really would have. And the fish. Okay, Peter came to Jesus and was like, okay, we need to pay our taxes. And what do we do about that? Jesus said, render unto Caesar's what is Caesar's. He was saying, go pay your taxes. And then Peter said, where do we get the money from? Jesus said, go fish. And then in the fish mouth, there will be money to pay the taxes. Understand this, Peter was a fisherman. So when Peter went to fish, he went to work, right? Jesus saying so Jesus was saying that's how you get the money to pay your taxes. You work. He went and work. But that's what we are as Christ. We are workers, not for our glory, and not for the glory in work, but for truly the work to be done, so we can fish men. We can go after men. It's a job when we fishing men, right? When I tell somebody the gospel, I'm not just and they say, okay, I received Jesus. I also have to make sure he get discipled. I also have to make sure there's work has to be put in. He has to put in work. I mean, I had to put in work for him. So that was the original representation of Christianity, was the fish putting in work. And getting back to what the topic is, I wonder, do we really care of how we showing Jesus? Like, is we making it so much about us that we don't care about them, right? We don't care about people. I mean, a lot of times, and listen, I'm gonna put everybody that claims Jesus, I'm gonna put you in the body of Christ, right? And whatever, I'm gonna let God weed out the ones that's not for me. He said you put the wheat and the weed in the basket, and when it's time for the harvest, he'll weed it out. So that's what I'm called to do. I'm not called to say, okay, well, the Catholic Church is not Christian. I'm not called to do that. You may be careful what you say about other people that represent Christianity in a different way. Be careful of what you call, because you're not the weeder. You're not the one that weeds out who is supposed to be in and who is not. Let God deal with that. What you do is just go do the harvest. That's all we can do is do the harvest. But while we're doing the harvest, are we trying to weed out things? We should not be trying to weed out things. We should be trying to make our life reflects Christ. Like, make our life reflects the symbol of that fish work, right? I'm getting out there and working, putting in work, and trying to help people. But today, we have to take a look, and I may talk about this more in the next podcast. But we have to take a look at, maybe we shouldn't be trying to be more like the world, and with our Christianity, we should be different. There should be a difference. They should be able to look at us and see a difference. Like, I'm going to be honest with you, people that does not love Jesus should hate the church. They absolutely should hate the church. They should hate the building. They should hate the ideal of it. The people that love Jesus should not like the ideal of things that are in the world. Especially with things that's coming against Jesus. I'm going to tell you, man, I have a lot of things that I'm facing right now. One of the things is the NFL and the NBA seem to, and soccer, the soccer league, but I don't really watch soccer. But the NBA and the NFL seem to be coming hard against these anything Christianity and against the church. I can't too much longer support the NBA and all these different factions if they're going to be coming against the church. Because we are to look like Christ at the end. We should look like the church. And we need to build the church up. Please like, subscribe, comment. Thank you. I love you. Delay Third Movement.